Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second podcast of this channel. Today, we have a returning guest, my dad. What's good, Dad?
Hi sir, it's good to be back.
Good to be back. So, in the last episode, we talked about what self improvement is to us. We told some stories to each other, and we asked each other some questions related to it. In the end of the episode, we said we're going to talk about self image in our next episode, and that is what we're going to discuss today. So, Dad,
Looking forward to it.
looking forward to it? Well, let me ask you the first question. What, in terms of self improvement, what is self image and why is it important?
Okay, that's a good question. What is self-image and why is it important? So self-image is how you see yourself.
Yeah.
What is your impression of yourself? So when you look in the mirror, how do you see? What thoughts come to your mind? And who is this person in the mirror? Is he the person you want to be? Or is he the person you don't want to be? So your self-image is how you see yourself in this world in every situation. And your self-image is something which is truly how you believe yourself.
Right.
Not what people think of you, not what people make you believe, but inside, at core of your heart, whatever you truly feel you are, right? And we all truly know inside what we are.
We can't lie to ourselves.
And we can't lie to ourselves.
No.
People can sometimes make you feel very important. Some people can make you feel down.
Yeah.
Some people can be very, very bullish about things.
Yeah.
But really, you realize that you go through these emotions in different situations. But inside, at the end of the day, when you let your hair down, when you put your feet up, that's when you are truly yourself. That is your self-image.
Yes. It's who you are at your core.
Correct. At the core of your heart, that's your self-image. And that self-image is not something that is built in one day.
No. It's developed over time.
It develops over time. And that's why when we talked about self-improvement last time, it is in a way helps to build your self-image slowly, and your self-image is also connected with your self-discipline. So self-improvement, self-discipline, self-image, they're all kind of interconnected.
They're all linked to, like, I think the umbrella term is self improvement in a way, right?
In a way, yes.
And
But the self-image is very important because self-image leads you to take certain action, and those actions become your habit.
Yeah.
And the habit becomes your personality.
yeah.
So then you get into the auto mode, and your personality drives your behavior and how you are and how people perceive yourself. So unless you are really looking at yourself closely, how you think about yourself,
Right.
it's very easy to be digressed by what people say.
Yeah.
Or what people make you feel.
What people make you feel. That reminds us of an example, actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really a test in a way, but it kind of shows the true character of someone. It's something you ask yourself.
Right.
It's like everyone knows that it's good to. That no one likes litter around the world, right? We want to put rubbish in the bin,
Correct.
and I hope all of you guys do that, right? Of course we do. And let's say you're just walking down the street. It's like an empty street, not many people, and you see some trash on the floor, and there's a bin not too far away.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who will look at that trash, look around and see that there is no one viewing them or observing them. And what do? They don't even pick up the trash and put it in the bin because there's no external validation that they will get from doing so. But that that shows their true nature, right?
Very true. That's a great example.
But then, as opposed to the right people, as in the opposite end, there's the people who they don't need anyone viewing them, and they will still do the right thing. They will still put the trash in the bin. They will donate to the homeless, or they'll donate to charities without announcing it to the world that they're doing so.
Wow.
This is true character, and this is what happens after you develop or you improve yourself as a person.
So let me ask you something. So the person who does this even if no one is watching,
Yeah.
versus a person who does it because someone is watching,
Mm.
what is the difference?
What is the difference? Well, the big difference is one has a positive self-image of themselves
Right.
because they don't require the external validation from other people to perform tasks because their self-image is not based off the external. It's based on themselves. They know internally that they're a good person, that they're working on themselves, so they're going to pursue that action no matter what.
That's great. So that brings me to something that I heard about doing versus being.
Yeah.
So if you become something, then it's all natural. At core, that's what you are. But if you're doing for whatever reason, for external validation or for earning praise or just to put up something,
Yeah.
that's doing. But then once you become a person
Mm.
with your true nature, and then it's not something you're doing, it's just natural. It becomes you. So what you are outside is what you're inside. And that is very important because I think the person who didn't pick up the rubbish,
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he feels about it. What do you think will the person will feel? Does he feel guilty or will he feel uh, don't care
Like-
attitude, or what will that person be feeling?
How will that person
Or
be feeling?
if you were that person, what would you feel at the end of that? You think, I don't care, I didn't pick it up because there was no one watching, or you think, I think I should have done it. Maybe next time I'll do it.
Mm. Well, I think it varies. Like it depends on the person, of course.
Yes.
But I'd say the ego is a big factor of this because they think of themselves as sadly and not sadly, but these people inevitably exist, but they think too highly of themselves. And their ego is not going to get boosted or anything if they make themselves bother to pick up the trash and put it in the bin. So they feel no remorse whatsoever, sadly. I think, in my opinion, these people require self-improvement the most. But, I mean, they don't get it, but these people exist. And they won't feel any remorse, sadly.
I wonder what your viewers would be feeling. It'll be good to have some comments come in the comment box about
Yeah.
people.
If you were in that position, genuinely, would you pick up the trash or would you just walk by it? Would you pick up the trash even though no one was there? Or you just walk past and go through your own way? Leave a comment down below.
So we come back to the question of self-image. How do you build your self-image? What does one have to do to improve your self-image? Number one, is there a target you need to reach? Or is it something that automatically happens as you go on a self-improvement journey? Or is it something that you need a coach or a mentor to guide you on the journey? How do you build your self-image?
Very good question, as you say. So, in terms of a mentor and a coach, I'd say that would definitely help you build self-image much faster than if you do it by yourself. Like, for example, these videos I'm making with you and the videos I've made before. If you hadn't viewed them, then you won't know which steps to take for your self-improvement journey. In a way, like, we're kind of coaching you to improving yourself as a person. And I think that definitely speeds up the process of becoming a better person, right?
And I agree with you because more you read, more you listen, more you talk to the people who have traversed that path, who have been through that journey, they will be able to guide you, they will be able to give you tips because they have been there and done it.
They've got the experience.
They have the experience and they have the knowledge, and it's not a bookish knowledge, it's not a theory, it's an applied knowledge. In their life they have applied.
Yeah.
And I know that you have applied many of these things yourself by way of taking cold showers or learning piano and few other things.
Yeah.
Where you said, I need to improve, and day by day, you continued on the journey and then you achieved something.
Like we're talking about gratitude journaling, meditating, exercising, all of this. And I make videos about that because, like you said, I've gained that experience and I've gained that understanding and that knowledge, which is why I create those videos. Because if I hadn't gone through that experience, then how can I speak about it, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
So coming back to the self-image,
Mm.
I think it's very important to understand that your self-image, it's easy initially to feel emotional about what people say about you and create your self-image.
Yeah.
And it goes to a very early childhood age when your parents tell you about something,
Yeah.
and that can start building your self-image. Now parents might have said something not really thinking the consequences of it,
That
but
would
as a
have-
child it
yeah.
has a huge bearing on your self-image.
Yeah. And there's a lot of psychology behind that as well. Is that in a, at least in the psychological perspective, when we're young, like a child, this is the years where we really develop our personality. Not all the way, but that develops during teenagehood. But when we're a young child, it's these experiences, like you said, which seem minuscule for the adults, or what you say seems small for the adults, but can have a humongous, unknowing, like huge impact on the child, which
Right.
I didn't realize until they are much older.
So how can they reverse this process?
I mean, one thing to do is begin your self improvement journey, because
Right.
then obviously self image will increase from that as a result.
Right. So you think if something that was told to you by someone in the family
Mm.
and you develop a self-image that is hindering your self-improvement now, you're saying that that can be reversed, and you can, by self-improvement, can actually reduce or minimize the impact of what damage it did to you in your childhood.
Well, I mean, as a psychology student,
Right.
I would say that if depending on the extent, I would advise you see a psychologist or a counselor. That would be the best case scenario. But then, of course, you can do stuff. This is not any We're not giving any medical advice or anything here. We're just speaking, right?
Right.
We're not just doing anything medicine related. But then you can do by yourself is by increasing your self improvement habits, your self image and your way of life automatically increases, and you will start to feel better and happier. But I think we won't dive too deep into that.
No.
I also get a bit too psychological there.
But one other thing that you mentioned before about positive affirmation.
Yeah.
And I find that very effective in self-image.
How do you find that effective in self image?
Because I think whatever we heard in childhood, it goes somewhere in our subconscious mind,
Okay.
and we don't realize it,
Right.
that it's in subconscious mind, and it drives your behavior.
Yeah.
A third person or someone else who's maybe a psychologist can actually understand that, and they can tell you that this is because of something happened to you in your childhood or something stored inside in your subconscious mind. But by positive affirmation, you're actually telling your subconscious mind, you're feeding an information that will then, I'm hoping that will actually nullify whatever is stored there.
They say the subconscious mind is like, it runs like 95% of our
Yes.
thoughts and everything, right? So that's where all the built up stuff from the past and stuff kind of lives. So like you say, it can kind of nullify it when you increase your self image, because as much as it tackles your conscious mind, because you're constantly, while you're thinking about how do I improve my self image, the result of that actually goes into your subconscious mind.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And it makes your whatever you had in the past and whatever your troubles you may be facing right now become much better.
And there are many examples of that. It might be that someone is not good at a particular subject, or it might be something to do with your physical appearance, or it could be with your behavior. And people pass judgment, or the people become judgmental, and then you start seeing yourself from their eyes,
Yeah.
not understanding your true potential or who you truly are. So it's very important that with your self-image, it should not be what people perceive yourself to be, but you really have to understand who you are and what your true potential is. I think we all have that potential within us,
We do.
and we all have that capability. We can achieve whatever we want to achieve. It's just that the subconscious mind comes in our own way. That's why I say the biggest hurdle in anything you want to achieve is no one but yourself,
It's like your own mind, right?
in your own mind. And that's why I think self image is important, because your self image is what will give you that drive, the confidence, and the ability and faith in yourself. And I believe that sometimes for that self image, it is good to have a mentor, a guide, or someone who can truly see that in yourself,
Yeah.
and have that 100% belief that you can do it.
Bingo.
It's amazing how people have achieved some great things in life just because someone believed in them, whether it was one of your teacher, whether it was your wife, a partner, a friend. Someone believed in you that you truly can do it.
And then the results show for themselves, right?
The results show themselves.
Yeah.
So that means your own image wasn't really good, but then someone who's really close to you made you see that your self-image in a different way, and that changed you as a person. And then once you achieve something, then your self-image improves, and then it's a self-feeding loop.
Yeah, and you can only go better from there.
You can
Just
only
go
go
higher
better.
and higher.
So I'm thinking now that someone watching this video,
Mm.
maybe in their teenage, and it can be a difficult age when you are having peer pressure, parent expectation, school expectation, society expectation, you're being influenced by so many different things.
Yeah.
What can a person of young age can possibly do to keep their self-image improving all the time?
Well, one thing that comes to mind
Mm-hmm.
is from a book from Dale Carnegie called How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Mm-hmm.
And one technique he showed in this book is something, I don't remember the full name, but it's like it goes as such, right? If you want to be, let's say, a big man,
Mm-hmm.
even though you may not be a big man right now, if you act like a big man, you will become a big man. Even though you may not be rich, but you want to be rich, if you act like you are rich, this doesn't mean like you just spend all your money and stuff like that. But if you like put the personality, like, you know what, I want to be a rich man, I am a rich man, you are much more like this. Like, there's a lot of studies that, from what I remember, there is research that shows that this is the case.
Mm-hmm.
That if you act like what you want to become, you are much more likely to become that person.
So you're saying that is again coming to positive affirmation.
Yes.
So you're telling your mind that I already been there.
Yep. And
That's
you start
interesting.
behaving like that.
Oh, that's interesting. I recently had a pleasure of watching a live show
Yeah.
with one of the Australian swimmer and her coach.
Okay.
And the coach kept telling her that this is 1 year before the Beijing Olympics.
Yeah.
They were having a conversation, and he said, "Okay, so you imagine yourself standing on the podium and receiving the gold medal."
Okay.
And she said, maybe. She said, no, not maybe. You're imagining 100% that you are there standing on the gold medal, on the podium and receiving the gold medal.
Wow.
And she kept on training her mind in that moment. And she said on the last day when she reached the final, she was relaxed.
Wow.
Her mind almost knew that this is the next scenario that's going to happen.
Yeah.
As if that was a movie that will just play.
Yeah.
And I was thinking,
Wow.
I mean, it is initially may look fake in a sense, but then if that is your target and your mind is coming on the way, then this is the way to trick the mind.
It's like she kind of brought it into existence, right?
Yes.
Wow.
So that visualization becomes reality. And your mind then, I suppose, makes you do everything that is required. Because at some point in time, and again coming back to swimming, when they're so close to each other, I'm sure that they all have the physical ability. Then what differentiates them is that mental
Is the mental what's the word?
superiority, or that mental strength. Yeah, mental strength. That's the word I was looking for. That mental strength that pushes you to the last 10, 15, 20 meters to go ahead and touch that wall.
And I think that you raised a really good point, because everyone, you said, most likely has the similar physical abilities to do such a thing, right?
Mm.
To be in that high to like play what you said for the Beijing Olympics, to be in that level, you're already in like the top 0.001% of like physical health and ability to be in that position, right? So then, yeah, you're like, what differentiates those people? It's it's probably their self-image.
My apologies. It wasn't Beijing Olympics. It was Tokyo Olympics that we were talking about.
Tokyo Olympics.
Tokyo Olympics.
But so that for the Tokyo Olympics at least, it's the self-image that they had and their mental strength to be able to beat their fellow colleagues, right? Their opponents.
Correct.
Wow.
So it just
wow.
it just made me think that if it is such an important thing, why people don't do it? Why is it people still living a more mediocre life by having a poorer self-image?
I think that's because, I mean, with the whole nature of self-improvement, it's all about delayed gratification, right?
Right.
It's like we sacrifice, like this is the key for this channel, right? We sacrifice what we have now for a better future. It's short-term pain, long-term gain.
Short-term pain, long-term gain. Okay.
And so with self-image, it is much easier to get a high self-image if it's coming from an external source. It's like if you do something nice once, like without much effort, and you do something nice, and you get external praises from like hundreds of people, your self-image, momentarily, will be through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So then, if they can constantly do less work, like it's like it becomes like a graph.
Mm-hmm.
And they do something, their self-improvement becomes really big from everyone else, then it goes back to like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
They do something a little bit small, they get a lot of external validation, it goes up, and their self-image goes like this. And because it can reach such peaks so regularly, they're like, oh, why would I want any internal self-image if it can be high so often from external? But then the sad truth is that it's not consistent. When the self-image is not that high and it's back to low, they do not like themselves. They do anything to go back on top, but it's just a constant loop. And when they're in the bottom, they just don't like themselves.
So what you're saying is they should have a self-image which is consistent, doesn't matter what external circumstances is.
And how can they get that?
And how can they get? And I think that brings back to the self-improvement again.
There we are.
And it is something that will not happen overnight, but slowly as you keep building yourself and analyze yourself. I think journaling is a great thing because you can then analyze what happened during the day and maybe look back a week later and see whether you have reacted in the same way in a situation as you've done before. Quite often you will find that your whole response to a particular situation is very different, and then you know you are actually on the right path.
Yeah, it kind of is like shows you whether you're on the right path or not.
Not.
It's like whether you're still even like mysteriously doing it for external validation or whether you're doing it for your internal self-image, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, wait, sorry. One thing I actually wanted to ask you.
Sure.
I talked about Dale Carnegie, how when you pretend to be like a big man, you become the big man. That's like if you speak to your internal self, if you change your external self, the way you react or the way you act, then your internal changes. Is there a way to, or is there any technique which you know or anything you can suggest where you change your internal to change the external? So as opposed to external change to internal change, how about the opposite? Internal change to external change.
That's a great way of looking at things. Do you change externally and that will change you from inside, or do you change inside and you'll change externally?
Yeah.
So whether it's outside in or inside out.
Bingo.
I think the technique of acting and faking till you make it.
Yes.
It works in some situations.
Okay.
But personally, I believe that if you work on your internal self, if you try and change your internal self, then the external things will change.
Right.
Because the way you see the world is pretty much what you see yourself as. So you make your own world. It's same world for all of us, but all of us see it differently.
Yep.
Because we are all different internally.
Bingo.
So I think to work internally is, to me, is much more important than to work outside. It for short term for short term targets, yes, you can do that. The outside in
Outside, yeah.
approach, but to make fundamental changes to who you are or what your core values are, you have to work internally, and that internal working comes by way of reading good books,
Yeah.
meditation, self improvement, mentoring. All that comes from inside, because if inside you have changed,
Mm.
then you start seeing things differently outside.
Wow. You know, that's the thing. Like, fundamental, we're all humans, and we all view the world through our eyes.
Yes.
But then, how can we all view it so different? The only reason is because of our internal. So then, like, I'm just summarizing what you said. It was really good, guys. Take this in. If you can change the way that you perceive the world, which is by, for example, changing your self-image, because that's how you see yourself, and then how you see yourself represents how you see the world. If you can improve on that, you can be in any scenario which you were in before, and then be more positive, right? And even though nothing external changed, because you had changed internally, it became better. How strong is that?
Absolutely, and you'll find that as you go on the self improvement journey,
Mm.
when you become a better version of yourself,
Mm.
the people might not realize it. You don't have to make anyone realize that
Nope.
you're doing it,
Yeah.
but you'll start seeing things differently, and that change will be visible at some point in time.
Yes.
But initially, it'll be just you who will see the change, not the others. And it doesn't really matter what others think of you.
It doesn't, right?
You just have to be true to yourself. It's a slow journey,
Mm.
but it's a journey that is worth it.
So then maybe next time we can discuss how serious should we be taking our self-improvement journey? Because we hear a lot of people who ask, or which I know of, who ask me, is that should I, just do a little bit of self-improvement and then like continue with the rest of my life, or should I put my full 100% focus on self-improvement? Like, is there a balancing act? Like, how much should you do? I think that's something good we should discuss next time.
That's a good topic to talk about next time.
Should we do that then?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed the second podcast of the channel. This has been me and my dad. Dad, I hope you enjoyed.
I did. Thank you for inviting me to your podcast.
And we will see, both of us will see you in the next episode.
Bye for now.
Thank you.